Michael John Gray, our Democratic strategist, Bill Vickery, our Republican strategist. We'll get to the tweet, I think, here in a moment. First things first, in this meeting between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, should Russian meddling with the election in November, 2 years ago almost, be brought up?
Most definitely. Most definitely should be brought up and discussed. But can I take a little bit of a different take on the whole thing? I have always sort of questioned sort of the whole black helicopter crowd, that there's a deep state and there's all this. All that's gone away. If you look at the timing of the announcement of these indictments on the Friday before we have this meeting, the president has a meeting with President Putin, to have Bob Mueller announce those indictments indicated that he is completely 100% a stooge for the Clintons, because this is all about trying to impact the summit in a negative way. So an issue that didn't have to come up, that could be announced the day after tomorrow, suddenly has to come up and be dealt with by the president. So I'm shocked by that. It's saddened by that. We are seeing the weaponization of the FBI by those Democrats on Capitol Hill. But in the end, yes, the president has to discuss this and should discuss it, along with Crimea, along with Syria, along with a wide range of things with Vladimir Putin.
Some facial expressions there, Michael.
Well, I remember that argument me and made when Comey dropped the stuff about Hillary's emails right before the election, and when Democrats cried foul, we sure didn't hear that kind of argument. Weaponization of the FBI, the continued denigration of our law enforcement to kind of put the spin for the president. Hey, there's 12 indictments so far. The president's going over there. You're in the room with him. Have that translator ask him to extradite him to the United States.
Yeah, listen, I think, you know, shocker of shockers, we have spies. We spy on them, they spy on us. I don't know. I do think it is very troubling that the indictments themselves are very specific in terms of attempts to sort of influence the election process state by state. Oddly enough, here in Arkansas, sometimes we don't need any Russian meddling to screw it up ourselves.
We do a good job
of it ourselves. But it most definitely has to be discussed. And I think, you know, it's funny to me when you look at the last two presidents, George W. Bush, who said, I looked into the soul of Vladimir Putin and he's a good man. Then you got Barack Obama leading over to Medvedev and saying, let me get past this election, then I'll have some more room to move. So the one president that's been the toughest on Russia since he's been in office has been Donald Trump, versus the way Bush treated him and versus the way Obama certainly rolled over for him.
I was going to say, moving on, the president just a few hours ago tweeting this, saying that our relationship with Russia has never been worse, and he blames it on years of foolishness. You touched on it, though. You know, we've seen other presidents that have tried to talk with Putin. We saw it yesterday on Network News talking about it, that they've all met. They've tried to say, I've talked with their soul. Obama talking about Jedi moves. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yes. It's never been worse. It's never, Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, I learned about Russia and U.S. my whole life. This is another Carnival Barker move to promote himself. Look what I can go do. We saw him do it in North Korea. We're seeing it do it here. Right now, it's the political grab to get the headline to. We're kicking our traditional allies and trying to align with who he sees as the power people. So it's a little frustrating once again to see the President of the United States use that kind of language on Twitter.
But I do believe this. We've got to resolve some issue with Russia. Now, Vladimir Putin, let's be very clear, Vladimir Putin becomes popular in Russia the more he kicks the United States. That's the source of his political popularity. So of course he wants to do that. But I think Trump was right to call out Angela Merkel and Germany. Russia provides most of the heat to Western Europe through the wintertime, and they're the single biggest trading partner with the European Union. So I do agree we need to rethink our traditional allies and our relationship with them as far as NATO is concerned. But we've got to do something about our relationship with Russia. It can't continue the way it is.
We'll find out more about that in a press conference with those two leaders, United States President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. That's coming up here in a little bit.
They look very sour in that photo, don't they?
Go to Twitter. I posted a picture of these two acting like the happiness that is between those two men.
It looked like two guys really that didn't want to be there, to be bluntly honest.
But these two wanted to be here.
Well, of course.
We're back after this.